I'm here with Fabiano Caruana, who just won his game against Jordan van Foreest. Fabi, congratulations. Solid start with 1.5 out of 2. How satisfied are you?
Yeah, quite happy so far. Yesterday was a really dull game, which I kind of was happy to get. I mean, first classical game in a while, playing Wijk. So I was pretty happy with the solid draw. And today I wanted to push, but I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. You know, it's still early tournament, but I did go for a fight.
Yeah, we're gonna see that in a second. I was just curious. I mean, to see yesterday your ultra solid approach against Wijk. Funnily enough, today Caruana also played very solidly. I don't know if it's something about Wijk or, but I was wondering, when the pairings come out, do you have a tournament strategy of like, I'm gonna target this player when I'm white? Does it go into much detail like that?
No, usually I don't even know half the players who are playing. I don't check the tournament list until like a day before. But I had checked the Berlin a bit before the tournament, and I haven't played the Berlin in more or less a decade, at least as like a main defense. So it came as a big surprise to him, I'm sure. I've played very sporadically, usually in maybe some rapid or blitz games here and there. And yeah, I thought it was funny. I felt a bit bad for him when today he got the most boring position again, and it's not super fun to start your tournament and then you don't really have a chance to fight yet. But it's still such a long tournament. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not bad to have some solid draws at the start as well.
I'm sure he'll get some games. Speaking of rare opening choices, today you played the London, which came as a surprise to many of us. Can you, first of all, maybe tell us what prompted the opening choice, and then later talk us through some key moments?
Well, kind of. I wanted to get the first surprise in, but he anyway managed to surprise me, even though I wanted to play some sort of London. He played this super rare setup where he doesn't commit his knight to f6, and instead he puts it on h6. I thought he wanted to put the knight on e7, which also makes sense. But then he put the knight on h6, and I think we were both trying to figure out exactly what the differences are. I was thinking he would want to do something along these lines and try to get e5 quickly. This made sense. But he played b6, and I realized the knight on h6 is just not poorly placed in general. So then I got a little bit creative as well, and I think that he had definitely a fine position around this point. Oh, I jumped all the way ahead. Sorry.
That's a big glitch.
Around this point, he had a very fine position, and probably black has many decent moves, and I would guess it's about equal. But then he provoked a crisis in the center with d4, pawn sacrifice, which for sure is sufficient for equality. But I wasn't too upset because I didn't feel like I'm really risking. He has a bunch of different ways to sack the pawn. For example, dc, rook fd1, queen e7. We were discussing this type of position as well. For example, queen c5, rook b8, rook b8, bishop d3. And probably black has enough for the pawn. Similarly in the game, I think, it was quite important that I went for this, because now I eliminate his passed pawn, and most likely I'll be a pawn ahead. So I felt like I'm probably not going to lose the game. That was
things went according to plan around here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I thought. I mean, I eliminated the risk in the position, but it should be a draw. Maybe he could play queen b4 first, and it's very. Or we were discussing some other moves like rook fd8 is also very logical. But then bishop b6, I was a bit surprised because he went by force. Actually, he mentioned that what he had overlooked was that after queen a5, queen c4, that I have this bishop f4. It's the final. Otherwise, it's equal material, yeah. But this wins the exchange. And so he was forced to go for this endgame, which I thought is probably quite drawish. But I was surprised by his next three
It felt
moves.
like it collapsed very quickly from the starting position.
I was happy to see h6 because I wasn't sure after g6 how, he just defends the f5 pawn, gets rid of back rank things, and then, for example, king f2, rook e8, he attacks the pawn, so I should trade rooks. And then king g3, rook b4, he starts to attack the c4 pawn, rook c1. I mean, still I maybe press, but my pawns are now quite weak, so it's hard to believe I really press the position.
So h6, a move you were happy to see.
Yeah, now f5 is still hanging, so that's the issue in many lines. And then when he played king f8, which felt very wrong, because anyway, his king in the center will just be more vulnerable. And then after rook d6, I thought I'm winning, because now after knight b4, a3, knight c2, I have rook a6. and his knight on c2 gets trapped. That's why I played king f2 to defend the e3 pawn.
Very sneaky.
And
defending.
yeah, otherwise, like if he goes for this, then his knight gets dominated on b8. King, for example, at g6 to defend the pawn, and then c5 and c6, and his knight's dominated. So he was also getting low on time. I thought that I should be winning, and the last few moves I think were pretty clean after c6. I mean, he could have continued for a few moves, but it's probably winning very, very easily for White.
Do you think maybe what happened is he got a bit too creative? Do you think Wijk, which is such a long tournament, do you think that getting a bit creative in the beginning is a very risky strategy in such a tournament?
I think you can maybe afford it because you have a lot of time to come back if it doesn't go according to plan. I was surprised by how many crazy games there were yesterday. I mean, also today there was quite a lot of action, but yesterday was just absolutely insane. I mean, I finished my game quickly. There was nothing to talk about. And then I was watching Gukesh and Anish play, but also the game between Vincent and Danke was absolutely nuts, and just like so many, I couldn't have expected so many things that happened.
What goes through your mind when you're in your room or wherever after your game and you watch this live? What goes?
No, I was actually like, I had plenty of time, so I went to the gym in the hotel, and then I had my phone with the live broadcast showing Gukesh and Anish, and it was exactly at this moment when he could play bishop e4, and it showed that it was winning, and I couldn't like calculate everything, of course. Then he played bishop e4, which didn't look like an easy move, but then I realized that my heart rate was going up, and I was just getting too worked up, and it wasn't because I was like I was on the treadmill. I was just
the chess.
Yeah, after the game was over, I calmed down a bit, but then. Queen b6, I mean, I think he just got down to a few seconds and panicked, which can happen. It's a bit unlucky that like every move loses besides the one move which wins. I did think he would find knight g4 because the knight just came from there and it felt like the same patterns. But yeah, when you get down to seconds, anything can happen.
What do you think it is about this tournament that just players year after year we get so many insane games?
I think the time control, weirdly enough, like when you have a longer time control, people take more risks at the start. They think they have enough time to manage it, and then you find out that you don't exactly have enough time to manage it. We also see like a mix of players that provokes a lot of players who are provoking a fight, perhaps against a lower rated opponent or just because they're very ambitious. So yeah, like yesterday, I didn't expect Gukesh to go so all out after just arriving here. I thought the wise strategy maybe is to just make a quick draw.
I think a lot of people were expecting that.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I guess we can't complain.
Absolutely, we cannot complain. Fabienne, thank you so much for your insights. Congrats again on the win, and best of luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.